Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Matt, and we are going to talk about Glow Season 2, Episode 5. It is called Perverts Are People Too. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. Yeah. Joe, it's funny, like, it's been so long since this show had any nudity that I'd forgotten that
Uh-huh.
it does that.
Yeah.
So when we saw the picture, they're getting on fan mail in basically as the start
Yep.
of the episode, and Britannica gets some guy like he's like, oh, I wish I got a PhD so I could tell you to say with this, and she looks at this photo, this Polaroid, and she
Uh-huh.
reacts to it, and I'm like, okay, I get it, right, it's funny, and then Melrose grabs it, and when we see it, and I'm like, oh, okay, all right, we're just going to show it, okay,
Yep.
lovely, was not prepared, sit,
Nope.
sit, sitting there having my snack, just casually, big dick as you do. But no,
Uh.
so that caught me off guard. But I actually forgot to mention last episode that I thought it was really funny how in the middle of the match they broke one of the lawn chairs over each other, and then
Yeah.
Bash immediately went into like, "Oh, they asked from a sponsor," and I'm like, "Yeah, great advertisement. Here's the chair breaking really easily."
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but that leads into the start
To
of this
be
one.
fair, most patio furniture should not be used as a weapon.
Oh, sure.
So, you know.
Sure. But yeah, so the sponsors pull out, and that sets us up into this thing where they're getting this meeting later on in the episode. They've been told, okay, come back for a meeting. You can pitch to the head of the network about where you're going with the season. And Sam's convinced this is like, nah, we're getting shit canned, and there's no respect. There's a running gag here with he wants water. They don't offer us water. That means they don't
Yeah.
respect us.
Oh, Sam. But Sam's always worst case scenario, so you can't take too much what he says,
No.
you know. But yeah. But it's not a good meeting. It's like, yeah, it's all bright and smiley, but the news is not good news.
Oh yeah, the network dude's he's all smelly and cheery, but you can tell that there's like he's covering up everything.
Yeah.
And as Sam points out, wait, you want us to pitch the rest of the season, which technically we've already had ordered. This is a
Yep.
sign of concern, not a sign of trust or encouragement or anything like that. But that's actually just small potatoes, because the episode then goes into much heavier topics, and this might be the most tense episode of the
Yep.
of the show by far. Ruth, a little bit miffed that she's not been included in the story development side of things, given that she started the whole kidnapping thing, and that seems to be what the
Oh,
execs like. But Debbie's like said, "Oh, I've got an idea," and she like rambles on like a soap plaza. Oh, we cut to a cabin in the woods.
oh
It's,
my God. My first thought too is like, it's not a soap opera.
Debbie, it's a
And
wrestling show.
then, yeah, and
Well, it
then
reminded
Sam
me.
has almost the same thing that I was thinking.
Yeah, it reminded me of last time, not last episode, but the one before that, where we were getting the PSA, and she
Yeah,
was like, "Oh, there's a pregnant mother or a mother who could be pregnant." I'm like, "Where's this happening? It's a wrestling show."
yeah,
Which, to be fair, they did actually do that, so fair enough to
yeah,
them. But I was thinking
yeah.
that during this, Sam has that ridiculous line about, "Oh, this is the longest I've let a woman speak uninterrupted unless I was sleeping with her, so it's an honor."
Oh, yeah. Those are jokes that make me feel bad for laughing, but it's
Well,
Marin's delivery,
my
you
favorite
know?
part of it actually wasn't him; it was her reaction, the way she looked at him after he said
Yeah,
that. Uh,
yeah,
with that look in her face,
yeah.
broke me.
Well, because he says it with such a straight face too. It's
Yeah.
not like there's not a twinge of irony to it. So it's completely absurd. And Bash is just sitting there like a tennis referee looking back and forth.
Who, of course, actually started off the conversation with, "Oh, we should get Ruth in here. She came up with this
Yeah,
idea." And he's like, "No. I worked on a soap. This is not
yeah,
fine. We'll do it without her."
yeah.
But so yeah, the main thing of it, so we're kind of dancing around the early stuff, and of course, there's the
Mhm.
idea to I think the overall theme of the episode set up with this fan mail stuff and how Melrose wants to like sort of profit from this. So can we set up like a signing table? These fans that are showing up, we see that Sheila's got this male fan who dresses up as a
Super fan.
super
Yeah.
fan, yeah. And she gets really uncomfortable being asked all these questions. Now that's partly her because she's just really
Mhm.
insular, but at the same time, like he has been a bit forceful. Can I at least get a hug? For example, is a phrase that you should not shout to someone that you barely know.
Yeah, definitely.
So, but they're going to do this, and we see them like do the signings, and Bash thinks it's a good idea. But it sets up the theme of the episode, or one of the themes of the episode is the idea of like their fans being creepy and wanting things out of them that might make them uncomfortable, and
Hmm.
because the joke at the start, of course, is that perverts are people too, and that kind
Yeah.
of sets us up for the theme of the episode. And so Ruth gets the phone call that the head of the network wants to meet with her, thinking that she's the
Hmm.
one who really came up with the story ideas. Um, And she's like, okay, dinner, fine, that sounds great. And she's all excited. And she goes to this hotel restaurant, and the concierge is like, no, he always takes his stuff in his little his room past the water feature.
Yeah, it's a
It's a
bungalow.
little bungalow, yeah. It's not a room upstairs in the hotel. It's like a little
Uh-huh.
bungalow. And immediately, like, you feel this tinge of worry. Like,
Hmm.
this is bad. And I think obviously this is a very timely story. This feels so,
Yeah.
after Weinstein and all that, this feels so, like, topical right now. And I have to wonder if like us going through that with the media over the last year has made me more like attuned to this, to the point where,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I think by the time we got in the bungalow I would have been feeling the worry, but it hit me as soon as he said that. And I
Yeah.
wonder,
There's
I
not the
wonder,
existential dread
yeah,
without the last year of real life news. I think because I mean that's a common story that we've gotten in sitcoms. The grabby boss,
oh
and
sure,
so
yeah.
it's not a new trope. But yeah, with the last year in the news and being what it is, it sets that dread. It really cranks it up to a new level.
But again, I think it's really important here to just mention from our perspective. I think a woman watching this, especially a woman who's
It's
been in a career specifically, I feel like that would have always immediately like been the first thought in their
yeah.
head. But
Mhm.
I think it's interesting that now my first thought, as soon as he said that, I was like, oh no, this is bad. Especially since this show is really good at tackling these types of subjects, and
Yeah.
because it has in the past like hit really hard with a few other things, I'm like, oh no, this feels like it's going to be bad. And it works so well because she opens the door opens, and it's the network guy. What's his name? Gavin,
Oh,
whatever his name is. I don't remember his name. Um,
I'm gonna
but
search for this now.
he opens the door and she's like so relieved to see him, and I felt relieved. I was like, oh, he's here as well. Maybe it's not going to be too
Oh,
bad.
you're talking about Glenn.
Glenn, there you go. That's the
Yeah,
one. He's just
yeah,
been a TV guy. See, now I have to differentiate because we've got the head
yeah.
of the studio, the head of the studio as
It's
well.
Grant.
There you go. But yeah, so we have Glenn, and she's so relieved to see him, and I felt relieved when I saw him. And then she comes in, and it's all fine. It's all three of them. They're sitting down. They're talking about her
Yeah.
career, and it's veering kind of close to things, but it's like okay, but Glenn's still there. And then there's that moment where he taps his knee,
Yep.
and Glenn makes an he's like, oh, I'll go like fetch us some menus or whatever, and leaves him alone. And at first he's just talking nice, then he gets closer, and it's like, and then just out of nowhere he's like, oh, show me some wrestling moves. And I'm like, okay, this is where it just jumped head first
Hmm.
into Creepy Town, and he wants a headlock, and he's burying his head in her chest and like making noises, and
Super creep.
it's super creepy. But I think the most effective thing about it is again cutting back up to her reaction to this, and she just
Uh-huh.
looks destroyed. And then he openly admits that Glenn's not coming back. Oh, I'll go get the jacuzzi fired up, and then of course she runs out, and. But I think what I liked about this scene so much was just how deep into the tension I was the entire time. Like I
Hmm.
felt uneasy. I think it did a very good job of putting us on Ruth's shoes for this
Yeah.
scene because
Yeah.
I felt uncomfortable the entire time.
Yeah, and it's easy to get lost because Grant, who's the head of the network, he's very charming. You
Yeah,
know?
he actually seems like a nice enough guy up until a
Yeah,
point.
exactly. So like you're thinking like, oh well, there's a swerve coming. It's kind of like in wrestling where you're like, oh, there's a swerve. Oh, they're gonna get us out of this before it happens. And then like I've said before, sometimes the swerve is there is no swerve, and
Yeah,
they go right into it, and you're like, oh, of course.
so
So
this is like super tense. It's super like you're super into it, and I think it really is effective in the way it directs it, the way it lets those little moments linger between the
yeah.
lines, where she's trying to like, almost analyze what his intentions are after each
Mhm.
sentence. It really really works. But honestly, maybe even harder hitting than that though is the next morning when she comes into the gym. And the meeting that Debbie and the guys were meant to have with them that
Yeah.
morning was cancelled. They got a phone call instead, which again was set
Yeah.
up at the start of the episode that if you're getting bad news, you don't get a meeting, you get a phone call. Debbie said that at the start.
Yep.
They get this phone call, and it turns out they're being moved. They're being moved to a 2 a.m. time slot. They're getting
Oof.
buried and probably cancelled at the end of the season. And Debbie, or Ruth, opens up and says, oh, this may have something to do with me. And Debbie thinks she's just talking about, oh, you didn't let me in the story. But she's like, no, I was invited to this meeting, but it turned into not just be a meeting. And she tells her the story. And I kind of saw how Debbie was going to react, and it made me feel
Yep.
really, again, really, really kind of like uncomfortable before she said it.
it churned my stomach.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't a good feeling.
Yeah, Debbie's mad at her. Debbie thinks that. I mean, the final line she says is, the one time you don't open your legs and we all get screwed. Like, that was like, oh man, like, and it's this idea that she had to go through this, like, I don't know if she actually did anything because she says like, you don't actually have to have sex with him, but make him think you want to. Tell him that you've got a boyfriend, tell him whatever, but don't disappoint him. Play the game, I suppose, I guess is what she's saying. But of course, that's a very dangerous thing, clearly.
Yeah, that's you're playing with a loaded gun at that point.
But because that's the thing, I think what's so effective with this episode, it starts the episode with jokes about these fans and the big dick and all the rest of it. But by the end of the episode, is very serious all of a sudden. It's like, no, this actually got really dangerous and really creepy very quickly. And even if she's out of danger in a creepy way now, it's had an effect on her job, like, and everyone, like the entire show is being potentially ruined because she turned him down and ran for it. And Debbie, instead of understanding her position, instead of consoling her, instead of sticking up for her, and maybe going to Sam and saying, hey, this is what happened, maybe they'll fight back and do something about it, she just says, no, this is the way it is, you messed our careers up because you didn't play the game. And it really hurts, and it shows you that she's part of this system as well. And obviously she acknowledges she doesn't like it shouldn't be this way, but she just sort of accepts that it is this way.
Yeah, she's part of that machine, like, because you can tell where she's coming from, the stuff she's done to have her career, like, and then to, as she said earlier in the episode, to be washed up at 30, like it chews you up and spits you out, and so I understand where Debbie's coming from, because she's like, well, no, I had to do this stuff. If you want to be successful, then that's what you have to do.
Yeah, and we don't know how far she ever went with any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And we might never know how far she's ever went, but has it been as far as what Ruth just went through? Is it further? Did she have to go do some really sick stuff she didn't want to do? Like, who knows? But it hurts. I actually think this scene somehow made me feel worse than the scene with him in the room.
Mm-hmm.
It actually made me feel worse.
Because she's legitimizing it. Debbie is, like, not that it's a right or wrong call, but she's like, no, that's just the way it is, and if you want to get by, that's how you have to play, and it's just like, it makes you feel grimy.
Yeah, and then of course you add on the extra layer of like her. Again,
the personal
stuff where Ruth messed up her marriage by having sex with her husband, and she gets to kind of throw that in her face as she walks off. Yeah. You're about to do it with my husband, so why not now? Like, again, it's very...
Yeah, but again, I feel like that's Debbie too, looking for every chance she can to twist the knife.
Oh yeah, she is flawed. She's a flawed character, and that's kind of what makes these characters great, is that they're all kind of flawed. I mean, because we started off the show with Ruth breaking up a marriage. Like, she's not,
Well, no, I'm not saying she's innocent or whatever, but she's paid her price by now. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. So, and with Mark, from what we've seen with him, it's like, well, if it wasn't going to be Ruth, it was going to be some other girl. Yeah. And I feel like she's in denial, but because Ruth was her friend and she's right there always to be the punching bag. So,
because we end the episode because she brings up the point where you're screwing with everyone on the show, and we end the episode with Ruth looking at everyone signing the autographs, and like, some of them having fun, Sheila not so much, but they're all making money and having a career out of this.
Because one of Debbie's final points was that it's a compromise. I forget the other word she used.
It was feminism has ideals, real life has consequences.
Yeah, it has compromises.
Or compromises, that's what it was. Yeah.
And that goes into Sheila, who didn't want to do this at all because of her super fan that creeped her out. But she's there signing.
But Ruth talked her into it. It was Ruth who gave her the pep talk. Yeah.
Right. So,
I think she feels a little bit hypocritical, even though, I mean, again, very different things, but essentially what she did is she talked Sheila into being comfortable with something she wasn't. Right. And obviously what almost happened to Ruth was much worse, sure. But I mean, the thing with Sheila could get worse. Like, we don't know what this guy could end up doing. Like, so I think there's a tinge of hypocrisy there, even though you're completely on Ruth's side. I think for the decision made in the room, you're on her side. Like, you don't for a second. And if you are doubting that, I'd just go see a therapist. Basically, is my advice.
Exactly.
But yeah, so this stuff was super strong. I did not expect them to immediately top last episode. I'm so used to talking about weekly TV shows. but I think they did. I think this was even better.
Yeah, I mean, different flavors,
Yeah.
as you could say. You know, where the last one was almost more wholesome in that way, whereas this one's like these are the dangers of being a woman in this industry. You know,
Well,
so
I mean, hell, I mean, sexism was a theme. I mean, the sexism was often actually a theme in the show. I mean, it is a show about a women's
yeah,
wrestling show. We're kind of
yeah,
constantly running into that hurdle, but
yeah.
I think these two episodes specifically have been very, very heavy with it. And it works really well. So this was a fantastic episode. We've not even talked about Bash's plot. Bash had a subplot in this episode,
Yeah.
which could be leading to other things here. He couldn't pay his butler. The bounce check, the check bounced rather, not the bounce checked. And he's really upset. He's staying with Carmen, and when I say staying with Carmen, she's in the motel with
Yeah.
Britannica. Like they're just in that room, and he's on the
Yeah.
floor. And so she's like, hey, we'll go find your butler and try and like bring him back. He's like, oh, I think he's got a friend out here. And they go, it's a gay club. And Bash looks very uncomfortable the entire time that he's in this gay club.
Very much.
Obviously, there's some humor here, as there often is with Glow, because the camera pans over, and Carmen and Britannica are already like dancing with all the guys, and they look like they're having the time of their lives. They look cheery as earth. And but Bash comes up and talks to the bartender, and talks to the friend of his butler. And he looks very uncomfortable, especially when the guy touches his hand and offers to buy him a drink. And I mean, it kind of is kind of setting up that he might actually be gay. Are you getting that at all?
I am. I'm getting that he's self-hating about it. Like he's not in touch with himself, because then you get that scene later with the wrestling pictures.
Yeah, he goes to his old bedroom, right?
Yeah, and behind the mirror, like kind of hidden away, is his wrestling fandom.
Yeah, and there's a photo of him and his butler, who was friends with as a kid, and they've got like an autograph photo together. So you get I mean, it's obviously his butler's gay, but I wonder, like, like either he is gay as well, and he doesn't know how to process that, and this is how he's dealing with it very badly, which I guess is not dealing with it at all.
No, he's repressing it, which is
or he has issues,
definition.
or he has issues with his butler being gay, and it's interfered with their friendship, and that's where we are now. But again, the scenes were pretty well handled. I thought his his discomfort when we were in the club was pretty good, and it
or we could just be reading too far into it, as we do sometimes, and it's just he's a male in the '80s that doesn't know how to not exist, but be in that space. It's so different to him.
It's very possible. There was a neat setup for this though. Actually, when we were talking about storylines before with Debbie and Sam. Someone said, "Oh, hey, what about do we put on a wedding?" I think it was him actually. He says, "Oh, people love a wedding," and Sam's like, "Well, they're all women. Like, who are they going to marry? Each other?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, good point." And I almost took that as a little like, "Oh, that's setting up another theme." Like him dealing with the idea, the idea he suggested it, and went, "Oh, yeah, that's a good point." Yeah, like so. I could see this being something we delve into more with Bash as the season goes on, and maybe into like a season 3. In fact, it's worth mentioning, this might not be the first ones that we've recorded since the Emmy nominations went out, but this got 10 Emmy nominations.
Oh wow! Good for Glow.
Did really well. Yeah, I think Netflix got more nominations than HBO for the first time. So
wow. I mean, they are machine gunning content,
Oh, they are.
So it was only a matter of time before they put out so much that you have to give them a bunch of Emmys.
I mean, to their credit, though, they have put out a lot of good shows over the last year. If you've not watched Dark, which is the German original but time travel, you should. If you've not watched Mindhunter, you should. If you've not watched... What else did they put out in the last year that was new? I'm not even thinking season 2. I'm just thinking of...
Because for a while it was just House of Cards, right? That was getting all the attention. Like
That and Orange is the New Black. That got a lot of buzz as well. But then you started rolling out Stranger Things. You started getting your
variety.
Yeah, a lot more variety, yeah. Got a lot of good stuff, a lot of interesting stuff. And Lost in Space was fun. Maybe not Emmy award-winning deserving, but that was good fun. You'd probably like that show, Matt. That's your kind of stick.
I was a fan of the original TV show, so when I was a kid, it'd be on early mornings at that. But anyways, Glow.
I would not recommend Altered Carbon to anyone.
I've heard that's
It looks so good from the trailers because the visuals are really nice, but
my stepdad gave me that book to read like 3-4 years ago, and it's still sitting on my shelf. I haven't touched it. So, anyways,
Yeah. Anyways, back
so,
to Glow specifically. So Bash is in, and obviously Kevin from Brooklyn Nine-Nine is
yeah,
his family's butler, and he goes to see him for advice, and he's offering to help with keeping his books because he's terrible with money. And they're hoping to get his mum to be the new sponsor for Glow because
I love when he rushes in and about the patio sponsorship disparity. He goes, well, so my mom, she might kind of want to support us, maybe.
She's not said she doesn't want to yet, so
yeah,
there's a chance.
It was a really fun moment, but yeah.
I think
the other plot lines.
Yeah, I think what they've done with Bash this season is they've kind of made him more of a human being, more of a character, and making
more than just the rich guy archetype.
Not just the rich guy. Has some really funny, like weird lines. He's always kind of on coke or whatever. I mean, that's more Sam, I suppose, but he acts like he's always on coke. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
The robot did have cocaine.
It did, yes. So. Yeah, no, I'm interested to see where that goes. I think obviously the star of the episode is Ruth's story, and particularly the scene in the hotel room and the scene with Debbie at the end. Those are the two absolute 5-star standout scenes. But the rest of it's pretty solid as well, and I'm really curious to see where they go with Bash with this story. So that's really good. And obviously we got We've had some individual plots for a couple of the characters now who we didn't necessarily get last season, so I'm wondering who else we might. Obviously, Cherry. We have one scene with her and her husband actually. Just that she's down about life. That was essentially it. But then he kind of cheers her up, and they have this sex kinky act thing they do that he kind of initiates, and she gets into it. And okay, he's cheered her up. He's done his job, essentially.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it. But actually, Joe, what's really effective with that scene now that I'm thinking about it? It's a really nice contrast to the Debbie scene, like where that's a scene about the man just trying to trick her into sex, whereas this is a scene where Cherry's going along with it because it's just business as normal, and then he stops and says, "No, okay, let's talk about what's wrong with you," and she tries to kind of initiate it anyway. I want to say a pity, but just because right, he's, I don't want to be mean to him.
Yeah.
And she checks his crotch, and she's like, "Oh, you don't feel very excited." He's like, "Well, like you're clearly upset about something. What kind of husband would I be if I got excited when you were clearly upset?"
When you're down.
And I'm like, "Okay, right. So here's nice guy, good guy, versus
again,
dude."
What this show does so great is it takes on intimacy, and not in like the sex way, but like the closeness between characters. And Cherry and her husband, it's it's hard to get more intimate than that type of relationship.
Yeah.
Versus,
it's just because as I was describing it there, I introduced it almost as if it was just a kind of random scene on its own, and it kind of is for her character in terms of it's just kind of keeping her where she is and what we're going to do with her later. But it's actually got a really good purpose in the episode as a whole, because it does not that we all need good examples of what an actual man woman relationship can be, but it's a really nice reminder mixed in with all the Debbie stuff that's going on. So no, contrast. But hey, that is episode 5 of Glow season 2. We'll be back with episode 6 at the end of the week.
Yep.
So you can look forward to that. So we're halfway through the season. So far, it's doing some really, really impressive stuff. It's tackling even more issues than I think it did last season, and is being actually really effective in how it's doing it. Like I say, I don't think I would have expected when we started this show that there'd be scenes where I'm legitimately tense and like my stomach's churning, like
you're going no in your head.
Very impressive, very, very impressive. So that is Glow episode 5. So let us know what you thought of this one. The comments, like and subscribe and all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support us, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv, and you can do that over there. For a single $1, you get some stuff early and a bonus thing per month. We rotate between Almost Cancelled Extra and 121 Extra, which is me and Connor talking about like a topic. If it's 121, it's a movie topic. If it's Almost Cancelled, it's a TV topic. The first ever 121 Extra just went up. It is a 100-minute lesson on aspect ratios and the importance of the shape of the screen.
So you really pared yourself down then.
I'm not gonna lie, Matt. There was some serious. In fact, just to give you a tease of this, right? Since why not? I'll give you a little tease. So your Twitter's going to go wrong here because I'm switching over to the corner screen. But if I go over here. I had a slideshow here with various ratios.
Pete is so excited to do this. Since I've known this guy,
I know. Look at this.
he loves aspect ratios.
I was teaching about aspect ratios, but that's on Patreon for $1. Obviously, there's stuff in the higher tiers as well, like voting and stuff like that. But if you can't do that, don't worry. You can support us by liking, subscribing, and all that other stuff. All of it helps. So thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have we got any vanilla?